All right, so after what has been probably close to 6 or 7 years of the beauty industry trying to label every single product as sulfate and paraben free, I think it's time to find out why. So in today's video, a lot of you guys said you wanted to see this in the last video, so we're gonna cover it all about sulfates and parabens. But before we get into the health implications of sulfates and parabens, we need to first understand what these things actually are. I mean, how many of you guys avoid sulfates and parabens just because that's the thing to do? You don't really know why, but hey, apparently that's the thing to do. Sulfates, parabens, no thanks. Why? I don't know. That's the thing to do. Being well informed is always the best place to start when making a decision, so please take a seat. Class is in session. We're gonna start with sulfates because sulfates are a little easier to break down, and then we will get into parabens. So what are sulfates? To put it simply, sulfates are chemicals used as cleaning agents. They can be found in a bunch of different cleaning products, such as countertop sprays, detergents such as dishwasher soap or clothing detergent, and of course, shampoos. Basically, sulfates are a very effective cleansing agent when put in shampoo. They amplify the purpose of what your shampoo is supposed to do in the first place, which is really help to remove grease, dirt, buildup, just get all of that stuff out of your hair. They also contribute to a large amount of the lather effect that really makes it feel like your shampoo is being effective and cleansing really well. I mean, the more lather, the more it must be working, right? That's the mindset. But just so you guys know, especially nowadays, sulfates are not the only thing that contribute to lather. So if you have a sulfate-free shampoo and it still lathers a lot, there's a lot of alternatives nowadays. So it's not always sulfates, but sulfates definitely do help make a lot of lather. So, I mean, what's the problem? I want my hair clean. Sounds like good stuff. Well, first of all, anytime you see health concerns relating to sulfates that are outside the more basic stuff, like maybe it makes your hair a little dry, or it's too harsh of a detergent, it's all hearsay. There are legit articles out there talking about sulfates being cancer causing and a known carcinogen. None of this stuff is backed by science, and in fact, quite the opposite. Science has debunked a lot of these myths of sulfates being cancer causing or any other kind of health concern that you may have seen out there that refers to your body. The main concern when it comes to sulfates is that they can be too effective of a cleansing agent. So even though there's no immediate health concerns when it comes to your body, overusing a shampoo that contains sulfates can lead to a drier scalp and hair. It basically strips everything out. It overstrips your hair, removing all of the healthy oils that your scalp and hair produce to maintain a good amount of moisture. You obviously want to dial back on that moisture. That's the purpose of using a shampoo. But if you strip everything out, it can be overdoing it. If you repeat that process too much, you're going to be left with dry hair. In conclusion, the whole health scare surrounding sulfates aren't 100% accurate, but they aren't without basis either. Here's the deal, okay? It's so easy to find a sulfate-free shampoo nowadays. You might as well. So the one caveat there is a lot of drugstore shampoos still contain sulfates. If that's where you mostly buy your shampoos, you might want to think twice or just look for one that is sulfate free, but there are a lot of options. That's the point. But if you do deal with excessive product buildup, or you have the tendency to have a more than normal amount of oil buildup on your scalp, you know, you have an oilier scalp than the average person, you can include a shampoo with sulfates in it and use it in your rotation maybe once or twice a week for a total reset. That said, I would advise for shampoos that contain sulfates not to be your main shampoo or your go-to shampoo, rather an accessory for a total reset every once in a while if you feel that's necessary for yourself. And side note, if you do have color treated hair, shampoos with sulfates will lift that color quicker than shampoos without sulfates. So especially if you do have color, you probably don't want to be using shampoos with sulfates at all. Really, you don't need to use them at all unless you're in this category where you feel it's personally beneficial to use them every now and again. That's it on sulfates. And that leads us to parabens. This is a little bit more complicated, but it's kind of interesting. Parabens have an interesting story because they actually have a worse rap than sulfates, even though they're actually completely harmless. I know, how do we get here? I also think that people know less about parabens than they do sulfates. I think that most people know that sulfates have something to do with cleansing. Parabens, however, what are they for? Like, I think less people know. So let's start there. To put it simply, parabens is the umbrella term for a number of chemicals that are used in cosmetic products to act as preservatives. Their sole function is to make sure that all that nasty stuff, either mold or bacteria, doesn't start to develop in all of your favorite cosmetic products. That's what parabens are for, to stop the nasty stuff from getting into your products and spreading. You know that product on your shelf that contains moisture and you interact with that on a daily basis with your little grimy, gross, grimy fingers? Grimy? I said grimy? Creamy is a word now. The fact that that product that you touch all the time remains bacteria and mold free, that's not magic, okay? That's thanks to preservatives. And parabens have been proven to be one of the most effective types of preservatives in the cosmetic industry. Now that's starting to change a little bit because of the scare with parabens. There are new, very effective preservatives out there, but parabens, that's why they've been used. They're very effective at preserving your product. It's kind of funny to me how something that's literally designed to keep you and your product safe has in itself become a health scare, but let's find out why. If you Google, are parabens bad? You get a ton of results telling you that this stuff is from hell itself. Aside from the usual pore clogging, reproductive issues, yada, yada. The most common reoccurring issue that you'll probably see if you start doing any kind of research on parabens is that parabens are thought to mimic estrogen and thus disrupt normal hormone function, which can lead to a higher likelihood of breast cancer. This all started when a fairly flawed study to begin with took place in 2004 that found parabens in breast cancer tissue. However, this study never compared the parabens found in breast cancer tissue versus just normal skin tissue. So there's no comparison in the first place. It's like saying 20 out of 30 cancer patients eat strawberries. Are strawberries the cause for the cancer? I don't think so, because there's plenty of cancer-free patients out there who eat strawberries on the daily. I'm not one of them. I don't eat strawberries on the daily. I'm not taking any of those chances. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of people who eat strawberries who don't have cancer. But the most damning evidence is how little estrogen activity parabens actually have. And that was the whole issue. Parabens mimic estrogens, and estrogens can increase likelihood of breast cancer, but if you have very low activity in the first place, it's unlikely. But how low of activity are we talking about? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's take a look. In reality, parabens only have about 1/100,000 of the amount of estrogen activity that your own body creates. 1/100,000. All right, that's a big discrepancy. In other words, if you want to have a problem with someone about estrogen, you gotta talk to yourself, because you're a way bigger problem when it comes to estrogen than parabens have ever been. If anyone is going to be on top of this stuff, it's the FDA. And they've stated that thus far, there is no evidence that parabens cause any kind of health concern or issue, even though there are so many scientific articles that state that it does. This is all half-assed research and not anything that the FDA is committed to saying, okay, yeah, this is legit. They look at real research, and real research has shown that parabens are not causing any kind of problem. In addition, the Cosmetic Ingredient Review have even deemed the use of parabens to be safe in cosmetic products by up to using 25% of parabens in a formula. You want to know the actual percentage of parabens found in your typical cosmetic product, if the product even has parabens in the first place, because they're much less these days than they used to be. Anywhere from 0.01 to 0.3% is the industry average. That is a tiny fraction of the 25% deemed safe. And remember, that 25% is still talking about parabens with a 1/100,000, the amount of estrogen activity that your own body produces. So you can see how the field of concern is getting smaller and smaller the more that we dive into this. In conclusion, unlike sulfates, which actually have a little bit of, a little bit of stuff to be concerned about, the dry hair, the dry scalp, not wanting to use sulfates too much, there's something at least a little bit legit there. When it comes to parabens, they are deemed completely safe. Here's the thing though, the world does not operate on factual truths. That would be far too simple, all right? That's not how things work. The herd mentality is real, and the herd says parabens are bad, and therefore a lot of products don't contain parabens anymore. It's been years at this point that we've been operating this way, throwing parabens and sulfates under the bus. So really, now there are so many products that don't have parabens, and also because of the scare of parabens, it has forced cosmetic lab companies to find other solutions to preservatives. And like I said earlier, there are a lot of new preservatives out there that are deemed really effective and contain no parabens. So really, this video is just to keep you informed with the truth as much as possible, even if it might not affect your day-to-day life all that much. Of course, once our shampoo and conditioner hits the market, they will also be sulfate and paraben free. I'm definitely happy with the sulfate thing. The paraben, it's like, I guess that's just what you're supposed to do nowadays. So, even if you just want to avoid those two products, not going to be a problem when it comes to our stuff once that's out. But just know, when it comes to sulfates, and especially parabens, you've got much less to worry about than you might currently do. Yeah, so, and that really goes across the board for a lot of the ingredients in most of your cosmetic products these days. The FDA is very serious about levels of safety of what's used. So most stuff is okay. It just depends on how like healthy it is or how much added benefit is there by using this product. That's something that we focus on BluMaan, adding stuff that adds nutrients back into your hair. But overall, I would say you don't have to worry too much about the ingredients that are in your products, especially if you're, just do a little bit of research, you'll be fine. But thank you guys for watching. That's what I've got for this video. If you found it helpful, hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see everybody next time.